on the Cambridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network. From Learfield, this is the Chirpcast, your source for everything Ball State athletics. Now, here is the voice of the Cardinals, Mick Tidrow.
Welcome into another edition of Chirpcast with head coach Mike Neu. We'll sit down with a couple of players as well, break down Kent State, look forward to Toledo, and just capture what action's already been 1 week into Tuesday night action with a couple more to go on the season. Make sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. Mike, great to have you on as always.
Well, it's good to be here, and it's especially good to be here after a win on the road. You know, obviously a tough place to play, but really proud of the team for getting it done.
On the road on a Tuesday night, also in the fog near the end of the game. That was pretty slick, wasn't it, with the fog rolling in the second half?
You know, it really was. When that was coming in like that, I was like, is this going to, you know, for a minute there, it got a little bit intense, but then, you know, towards the end of the game there, it started to go away again. So, but yeah, it was very interesting.
So we're sitting up here in the booth, and it doesn't look as bad from up top where we were at. How bad was it down in the field?
Well, down low, I was about to say something. I was getting close to saying something there to Kevin and to the coaches up in the booth, just to make sure they knew that, hey, it's getting tough you know, down here at field level. So just make sure that, you know, if it does get any worse, then we'll make sure and communicate, because we got to be smart here about what we're calling.
Is there an adjustment swing when there's fog because of how hard it is to see, or what has to happen
Well,
there?
I would imagine tracking the ball is challenging. You know, when you're trying to do that and track the ball through the air would be tough like that. So really, you know, aside from that, that would be the biggest challenge. You know, obviously in the special teams game, if you're punting the ball, obviously if you're kicking the ball off, or vice versa, if you're on the receiving end of a punt or you're on kick return, and those conditions are out there, could be tough.
So, Mike, it was a 13-0 deficit at Kent State, another come-from-behind win, one touchdown victory. What stood out the most from that game for you guys?
Well, I think most importantly, yes, we got down to start the game. Credit the defense for holding them to field goals early in the game. Obviously, really proud of just guys not blinking on the sideline when we did get down. You didn't sense any kind of panic on the sideline. Guys did a great job keeping their composure. It's a long game. It's a 4-quarter game. You know, obviously, we knew that, you know, we had to regain our composure and go out and just execute, you know, try to stress that over and over, man, no matter what. You know, as long as you prepared yourself all week long to play confident and play fast, just go out and do your job to the best of your ability with maximum effort. And that shouldn't add any kind of stress to anybody. And guys really did a good job of just settling down, focusing in, and you know, we responded with certainly a great effort there overall in the second quarter to get ourselves a lead there at halftime.
What was the most challenging part about Kent State overall?
You know, first, when you talk about them offensively, they play fast. They play with a lot of tempo. That would be, you know, the team that played with that kind of tempo. The first team we faced like that since Tennessee, you know, for our defense. So it creates challenges that way, because they're good at it. They're good at it. They're very efficient at it. They run the ball at a high level doing that. Obviously, they get explosive plays, big plays in the passing game because of that. And you know, obviously, as you get tired, as you can imagine getting tired defensively, it challenges your discipline. It challenges your technique in terms of how good of a tackling team are they going to be. So our guys did a great job. You know, Coach Stockton, you know, does such a good job of getting the guys prepared for that. You know, I think back to spring ball when we were attacking tempo periods to make sure that we prepared ourselves for it. You know, we're in training camp attacking tempo periods just to make sure that we're prepared for it. So I think it comes down to that, and you got to give the players credit for going out and executing that way. And, you know, they've won 12 straight games at home, and obviously that's happened for a reason. So we knew that we had to go in there and earn it and play a complete game. And, you know, I think we complemented each other throughout different times of the game. The defense certainly helped the offense. Offense turned around, helped the defense, and then special teams did a good job of doing their part and helping everybody. So it's a team game, really stress that, and our guys did a great job with a team effort.
Mike, you talk about the tempo for Kent State, one of the fastest teams in the country. They put those 13 points on the board, but then your defense started to settle in against that tempo. What allowed the defense to get into a rhythm against that tempo?
Yeah, the biggest thing it does is challenge your discipline. You know, you preach over and over, you know, and Coach Stockton said all week, you know, last week, it's not a very intense or expensive or expansive game plan, if you will, because you got to do your job over and over and over. You got to do your job over and over and over, and you can't get bored doing your job and taking pride in doing your job. And guys just did that. They really did. It starts up front with the defensive line. Those guys did their job. There whatever gap that they were assigned to, just do your job. And really, guys settled in, did a good job of that. I thought our conditioning was awesome because they ran a lot of plays. We ended up evening up the time of possession, but early on, certainly it was in Kent State's favor, their time of possession. Certainly the early turnover we had, and then 3 and out, and they were controlling the time of possession, so it was good to see it swing back. But the defense, did an awesome job there, really, for 2.5 quarters of shutout football there from the second, until the midway point of the fourth quarter there.
What allowed the offense to get back on track after the first quarter?
I think everybody believed we had a great game plan in place, and we just had to settle down and play. It's one of those that, you gotta trust the process. You gotta trust what the game plan is, because you go out there and you want to have great balance. You want to be able to establish a run. You want to take some shots when the time is right. You want to be efficient in situational football. So I think our guys just settled down and played, and obviously, on those drives, when especially there in the second quarter, guys were doing a good job, man, of just being bought in and making the play when they had an opportunity to make the play. And the offensive line really did a good job all night long.
What did you see from John in that game?
Yeah, I thought John really handled himself as as good as he's handled himself in any game. His composure on the sideline was awesome. He always responded whenever there was an adversity or whenever there was a drive that wasn't a great drive. He did a great job of just keeping composed on the sideline, continuing to talk to the guys. His communication was as good as it's been all year long.
Carson Steele, again, another career high in rushing yards. Someone that's composed, it seems like always, is Carson Steele. As the game went on against Kent State, was that something you guys knew you had to get him the ball a little bit more because Kent State's defense was starting to be on the field so much those last 3 quarters?
Without question, and that's just a credit to Carson as well and to the offensive line. That's something we feel like, in the third quarter and the fourth quarter, he only gets stronger as the game goes on. He doesn't wear down. It's amazing, but he does such a good job of taking care of himself, and spends a lot of time, as you know and have seen, he spends a lot of time in the weight room, and he works so hard for a reason. So in the third quarter and fourth quarter, we know that we got to continue to feed him the ball because he just gets stronger. And I think he finished with 85 yards in the fourth quarter. And again, credit the guys up front. We played 9 guys on the offensive line. Coach Johnson felt very strongly about that. We had a few guys get banged up in the game that that some other guys had to come in and fill those spots, but credit those guys up front because they take a lot of pride in blocking for Carson, and all those guys did a great job as the game went on.
Glad you mentioned the offensive line depth, 9 different offensive linemen getting into a game. How valuable is having that depth week 9 of the season?
It's invaluable because and we all know that injuries happen to every team throughout college football, any level of football. Injuries are part of it, but how can you deal with injuries when they happen? And thankfully, the injuries that happened weren't, yes, they're injuries, but they're hopefully short-term injuries where we can get those guys back. But it just speaks to the next man up mentality that we try to preach every single week, every single day. You always got to be ready when your number's called, and Coach Johnson really prepares those guys very well and makes sure that they get enough reps in practice. And it was a good job, obviously a great job the way he handled the rotation the other night.
With head coach Mike Neu on the Coaches Show, Chirpcast, looking back at Kent State. We'll get to Toledo coming up a little bit. We'll also talk with Ethan Crowe and Cole Pearce coming up here on Chirpcast as well. Coach, just a couple more things on Kent State. Overall, defensively, we've talked about your defense a couple of times throughout, but 5 games in a row now where the team's allowed 21 points or less. What's this defense doing that's getting them hot at the right time?
The consistency. Week in, week out, our defense just gets stronger, plays at a high level. They feed off of each other, and they trust. They trust the scheme. They trust the process. They love each other. Coach Stockton talks about that all the time, about playing for the man next to you. If you love the man next to you, then you'll play unbelievably hard, and you'll do your job because you you love them. And so those are things that just week after week we just continue to get stronger, to gain more confidence. We face challenges every week. This will be a great challenge against Toledo, but Kent State was one of the top offenses in the league, scored a lot of points, really played well at home and scored a lot of points at home. And so to go in there, and obviously the way the game started, there were some quick strikes, if you will, that put 13 points on the board pretty quickly. Obviously offensively we didn't get off to a great start, but to be able to give up 13 points like that and then really tighten up there and play great football for 2.5 quarters, and the defense just feeds off of each other. And you think about the guys that are just bringing it every single week, and it's fun to see. I'm certainly, my background is on the offensive side of the ball and haven't played quarterback, but any championship team I've been a part of or any great team I've been a part of, defense wins championships, and very proud of the defensive football that we're playing right now.
One of those guys on the defensive end is Cole Pearce, who we'll talk to on the show. Haven Fields up in the booth is convinced that Cole Pearce has a clone because he's all over the place. There's two of Cole Pearce wherever he goes. His story is amazing with the scholarship that he earned last year after the Army game. That's been well documented. But I don't think what's been talked about enough by really anybody has been his ability the last 5 weeks, especially to get behind the line of scrimmage and make tackles. Why is he doing so well?
First of all, the work that Cole Pearce put in to get to this point, and you mentioned him earning a scholarship after that 14-tackle performance last year against Army. He earned that, every bit of it, because the process started way back when he was really a contributor on special teams, bought in, working hard defensively to try to figure out a way to gain a role, to get some snaps, and just to see the football that Cole is playing right now is awesome, because it's a credit to him. Hard work wins. Hard work pays off. And Cole, every time you look up, I mean, and I agree, I feel like there's two of them also. Right. Every time you look up, you're like, that's Cole again. That's Cole again making a tackle for loss and to get a sack. And I think he's in the, whatever he is, 8 or 7 right now in the conference in sacks. And he's just got an incredible nose for the football. He's got great instincts. He's a student of the game. All those things that, when you think about playing that position, playing linebacker, man, all those are so important when you talk about playing at a high level. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun to see Cole right now, and he loves the game. He's always got a smile on his face, and it's great to see that for him. He's a great success story, and it's awesome to see.
Somebody else who's loving the game right now and playing really well on the offensive line is Ethan Crowe. What has Ethan done, especially this year? I know he's had time to play in the past. He's been able to rotate in, get his chance, but this year he seems like he's really taken a big part of the offense.
He, too. Just his work ethic and his toughness. Those are two things. When you mention Ethan Crowe's name, and his work ethic is special. Obviously he and Carson Steele played high school football together at Center Grove, but he came in here and just was a tremendous worker from the time he stepped foot on our campus here. And, obviously he played last year, probably earlier than we were thinking that he was going to play, but he just got better every week and, every single week in training camp, and now into the regular season. He's always one of the highest graded offensive linemen, at the end of every game. And, what you're going to get from Ethan every week. He's very consistent. Takes a lot of pride in his role. He's been, on the leadership council. He is a tough Cardinal. Those are things that are awesome when you think about the makeup of a guy like Ethan Crowe and being the center there of the offense. It all starts with him because he puts his hands on the ball first before anybody else. And, just continuing to get better. Phenomenal young man and great work ethic. And he, too, just the hard work piece of it. You love guys like Ethan Crowe, like Cole Pearce, that are so bought into just making sure they put their best effort out there.
You mentioned Leadership Council, and you've mentioned it a couple times on the podcast. So I want to get to that. Why does a player get selected to the Leadership Council?
Every player in our program has a chance to vote on that. We don't vote on that as coaches. They have a chance to vote for somebody in the class that they came in with, because obviously by the time their careers unfold, they might not all be in the same class. One might play, one might redshirt. So they have a chance to vote for somebody in the class they came in with, and then somebody in their position group. And then we tally the votes, and those are the young men that represent the team in terms of on the Leadership Council. And I look to those guys. They're the voice of the team. And when there's decisions to be made. I talked to them long and hard about, midweek action. What do we, since we were going to end up going to this type of schedule, today when you get back as we did 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning, you can't bring the team in the next day because they've got class. So, we talked about the schedule adjustment, and since we were playing so many night games this season alone, I talked to them way back before training camp started about I wanted their input on what did you want the day after the game to look like, in midweek action and then night games, because, some of the night games when you travel back from Tennessee, travel back from Georgia Southern, you get back late in the morning. So really just wanted to make sure, because, the most consistent that you can be with your schedule every week, then obviously the best chance you have to be consistent with your performance on the field.
Well, that's great. I love listening to how the storylines of the Leadership Council come together and how players are voted in. It's one of the coolest parts of college athletics, is being able to see players and kids vote for each other to help lift each other up to be part of something special.
And I must say, I feel like our team does a great job with the voting. If I did have a vote, I agree with the decisions and with the votes that our guys have cast for our players here, and so they've done a great job of selecting representation for themselves.
With head coach Mike Neu on Chirpcast, the Coach's Show. Before we let you go, Mike, got to get to the Toledo Rockets, one of the highest powered offenses so far in the country. Daquan Neal has been fantastic as a quarterback, or Daquan Finn rather has been fantastic as a quarterback. But overall, Toledo, just looking at them, it's early in the process of getting ready for Toledo, but what challenges stick out about them?
It's really a good football team, man. They're a complete team. You look at their numbers, it's not a surprise. They're one of the top defensive teams, one of the top offensive teams, one of the top teams on special teams. They're one of the least penalized teams, so that tells you they're playing with good discipline. So, Coach Candle's done a great job. They've done a great job always over the years in recruiting, bringing some, great young student athletes in there and doing a great job of developing. Obviously, they've got a lot of experience on this football team. You mentioned Daquan Finn, and man, he's dynamic. He's a playmaker, and certainly can make plays with his feet. He's got a big-time arm that can hurt you in the passing game as well. So this is a good team. Obviously it's not a surprise that they're sitting where they're at right now on top of the MAC West. We're focused on having a great week of preparation for us. Obviously, it's great to be able to have the opportunity that we have here to continue playing, for a lot on the line here next Tuesday night, at the Glass Bowl. Tough place to play. They've been, undefeated so far this year at home. So it's a great challenge, but it all starts with us just making sure we have a great week of preparation, put a great game plan in place, and let our guys go out, have fun, play the game the way it's meant to be played, and go execute.
You mentioned a lot on the line, Coach. What do these last 3 games mean in the regular season?
Well, you work hard to be in this position in November, and you have to win to be able to be talked about still. So it's the next opportunity, and you don't want to make it bigger than it is, because I tell our guys, as long as you have put the work in in the meeting room, as long as you're coming out there and you're putting your best effort on the practice field, all anybody can ask of you is to go out, do your job to the best of your ability with maximum effort. If you can do that, there's no reason that you should have any added pressure on yourself. The game will get kicked off, and we got to play 4 quarters of good football. We know that. I mean, when you're in this position, action is crazy. It's great. I love this conference because, obviously you get to November like this, and, obviously your best football is required in order to give yourself a chance.
Well, we see Bowling Green, Western Michigan yesterday, 6-0, almost at halftime, right? It was a tight game, one of those midweek action games that don't make any sense. And really, that's just what we see almost every single week. We saw 45 points from Ohio against Buffalo, and that midweek action is just going to continue. Well, Mike, we appreciate you having you on as always.
Well, it's great to be here.
It's head coach Mike Neu joining us on Chirpcast, the Coach's Show. We'll sit down with Ethan Crowe and Cole Pearce coming up next.
Black Friday deals start early at Peterman Brothers.
All November, when you install a qualifying HVAC system with Peterman Brothers, you can get up to $5,000.
How would you spend your Black Friday cash?
Host the best Thanksgiving your family has ever seen?
Blow everyone's mind with the greatest gifts this season?
Take a family vacation?
Or get yourself something special?
No matter what, you can't choose wrong when you choose Peterman Brothers for all your home comfort needs.
Visit PetermanHVAC.com to claim your Black Friday cash.
Back at Chirpcast with Cole Pearce, inside linebacker for Ball State. Just talked with head coach Mike Neu, broke down Kent State, looked ahead to Toledo, and broke down the season as a whole. We're only 3 games left in the season. It's Tuesday action the rest of the way. And we're joined by inside linebacker for Ball State football, Cole Pearce. Cole, appreciate you jumping on.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
So we've talked about it throughout the whole season. Tuesday Maction finally got to us last week. What was the first taste this year for you as a Tuesday night Maction member?
Yeah, Maction is really something special, and I actually talked to my teammates about this after the game Tuesday. I really just love it because there's no one really in the stands. It's not like the Saturday games, and it's really just like a backyard football game. You're just going out there with your teammates and having fun. Not a lot of people, like I said, in the stands, so it's pretty much just you against them and your teammates, and you're out there just having fun.
How much of a difference is it preparation-wise from a Tuesday game to a Saturday game, mixing in classes, a different schedule? How does that all play together?
Yeah, that definitely was a little bump in the road last week, switching from Saturday games to Tuesday. It's definitely a little switch up with the game plan, and not the game plan, but preparation, like you said. It definitely took a little bit to get your days right about what you do and stuff like that. But Coach Neu does a great job of keeping us on track and knowing exactly what day it is technically on the Saturday game, even though we play on Tuesday. But this week will be a lot easier in preparation and for Toledo and stuff like that. So, yeah.
We talked with Coach Neu about the preparation side as a coach and what the staff has to do from a Saturday to a Tuesday game. Was it a hard adjustment for you to get ready for Tuesday night games instead of playing on Saturdays?
No, I mean, like I just said, not really. But the hardest thing for me was just like having a Tuesday practice, like a hard work day on a Saturday instead of a Tuesday, and it's just like, there's a lot more distraction. There's a bunch of football on Saturday and stuff like that. So, and just trying to go to bed at the same time like you would on a Tuesday and stuff like that, even though it's a Saturday. So, no, I wouldn't say my preparation was hard or anything. It was just a little switch up with the days. So.
Well, the first Tuesday night game had some fog. That was pretty cool, right? Down at Kent State, getting to play in the fog.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I was a little surprised on that. What, that happened like third quarter into the fourth or something like that. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was.
How different is it to play in the fog? Does it make anything different?
Yeah, no, not really. As a defensive player, maybe as an offensive player with maybe a quarterback or a receiver throwing, but as a defensive player, I loved it. So.
You just pin your ears back and go get somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
We're with Cole Pearce here on Chirpcast, where they talk with head coach Mike Neu. We'll sit down with Ethan Crowe as well from the offensive line. Cole, just want to talk about the season a little bit more as a whole, and then we'll get to your personal journey and what you've been through at Ball State and just before you were a Cardinal as well. But looking at the season as a whole, how would you say that the defense has grown as a unit from week 1 to now 9 weeks into the season?
Yeah, we're definitely a younger group. It's a lot of different faces out there from the previous years, but we really just took pride in getting better every single week. We got a lot of great playmakers on the defense, and we really learned how to play off each other's strengths and weaknesses throughout the season. And I think we've just done a great job from week 1 to now, this growing and becoming a better defense every week.
How valuable is it to have such a deep roster of players? Because we've seen from the defensive line, the rotation comes in and anybody can play. The defensive back group, you can throw in 6-7 different players. They all come in and play. How valuable is it to have so many of those pieces that can perform at such a high level? Yeah,
our defensive line has really stepped up these past couple weeks. They've really muddied. They've really just owned the line of scrimmage. We've played a lot of good running backs and good running offenses, and they've really just owned the line of scrimmage and made it easier on us linebackers. And then to go to our DBs, man, I mean, we just got, number of different playmakers that can tackle, guard. I mean, they can do it all. So it's really awesome to see that, we can put in a couple different people on the D-line and on the DBs and still have a lot of success out there.
You mentioned the D-line playing at such a high level to make your job easier. What have they done to make your job easier?
Yeah, really just playing violent. Just like I said, making a new line of scrimmage, just pretty much just dominating the O-line. I mean, the trenches, you know how it is. I mean, it's pretty much just whoever plays harder, whoever's more violent and stuff like that. So they've really just stepped it up from the first couple weeks, I feel like. I mean, they didn't play bad in the first couple weeks, but they've really taken their game to another level these past couple weeks, which made it successful for us linebackers and DBs on the run game to be really successful and make a lot of tackles.
What's the next step even after of what this defense has done? What do you want to do next?
I mean, like I said, just trust the process and just keep working off each other and just getting better every week. I mean, we've done that throughout the whole entire season, and we've gotten better. We're limiting rushing yards and passing yards, so just continue to get better and trust the process every week.
Cole Pearce joining us here on Chirpcast, the Coaches Show. Cole, diving more into your personal journey, what has it been like from the moment you started playing football to now where you're sitting at Ball State? You can go as deep as you want into the storyline. You can share from whatever you want to go with on this. But from when you first started playing football to now, what's this journey been like for Cole Pearce?
Yep. I was pretty similar to others probably. I started playing when I was a pretty young age, and I've met a lot of best friends that I still talk to today through football. But my high school, I was kind of skipping to my high school. I played early like pretty much everyone else, but I'll skip into my high school. My high school, I played baseball and football, and I didn't really decide if I was going to play college football until pretty much my senior year. So I really just didn't take recruiting and visiting schools and going to camps pretty that serious because I didn't fully make my mind if I was going to play college football or not. So I kind of didn't really get recruited that much and had a great time in high school, of course. Still talk to many different guys today that I went to high school with, and they play college ball also. But really just didn't get recruited that much. Coach Doherty, who's not here anymore, unfortunately, he recruited me and pretty much came to my high school and gave me a walk-on spot, and I decided to get that opportunity, and the rest is history pretty much. I showed up here my freshman year. I was a school start walk-on, and didn't really know much, didn't really know anyone here, didn't really know what I was getting into, but it just all worked out, man, and it's awesome to be here.
So you said you didn't really know if you wanted to play college football, weren't really sure with how everything was going to go out. What made you say yes to being a walk-on at Ball State?
Yeah, it was just kind of just some talks with my dad and family, because my dad coached me in baseball throughout my whole entire life, so he was a huge baseball guy. But then I finally made the decision, like, hey, Dad, I want to play football. So I was basically just looking for any opportunity that I could get. So I didn't care if it was I wanted to go D1, but I didn't care if it was a walk-on or scholarship or anything. So that was pretty much my first opportunity. So I just decided to go with it.
You talked about Coach Doherty being an influence of somebody that could help get you here. What was the conversation like with him to be able to offer you that walk-on spot and say, hey, you have a chance to be a Division I athlete? Yeah, it was definitely special. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't too much. Being a walk-on, I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, they're investing a lot of other time in the recruits that they're offering scholarships. But don't get me wrong, it was a good conversation at my high school, and I was very excited to get that opportunity. And it was definitely a talk I'll never forget for sure. But now there's a completely different situation for you. You earned a scholarship last year after the Army game, 14 tackles. What was that moment like for you to walk in and then have no idea that conversation was going to happen, and then everything that happened, the celebration that was? Yeah, that was just a really special opportunity, not only because of the scholarship. That was just, my main goal the second I walked in, came to Ball State University. But really it was just a reflection of where I came from. Just that first day I was here and to the person I am now. It's just it's night and day how different I am, the skills I've made these past couple of years, and how better I've become a man on and off the field. So it's just I really just after we had the team meeting here and Coach Neu gave me the scholarship, I really just took a minute after that just to reflect on what happened these past couple of years and how I am the person I am today. So when you sit back and reflect on the person you are today and how you've gotten here, what would you say has been your biggest growth point? Yeah, probably just sticking to the process. As a walk-on, not every day is your best day, and that's with scholarship players too. That's just with anyone playing Division I sports. You're going to have some rough days here and there. You're going to be tired. You're not going to want to do things sometimes and stuff like that. So really just being consistent and sticking to the process, like I've said, just showing up on time, giving it your all every day, and just hoping for the best. So. Well, Cole, we're sure glad you're a Ball State Cardinal. Congratulations on all the success this year, the scholarship from last year, and thanks for joining the show.
Thank you.
It's Cole Pearce, inside linebacker for Ball State, joining us here on Chirpcast, talking about his journey and the defense as a whole this year. Don't go anywhere. We'll sit down with Ethan Crowe, offensive lineman, next on Chirpcast.
Black Friday deals start early at Peterman Brothers.
All November, when you install a qualifying HVAC system with Peterman Brothers, you can get up to $5,000.
How would you spend your Black Friday cash?
Host the best Thanksgiving your family has ever seen?
Blow everyone's mind with the greatest gifts this season?
Take a family vacation?
Or get yourself something special?
No matter what, you can't choose wrong when you choose Peterman Brothers for all your home comfort needs.
Visit PetermanHVAC.com to claim your Black Friday cash.
One more special guest with us on Chirpcast, the Coach's Show, Ethan Crowe, offensive lineman for Ball State football. We've already talked with head coach Mike Neu and inside linebacker Cole Pearce. You can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Go ahead and find us. Just search Chirpcast, and we'll be there. Ethan, appreciate you jumping on with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
So, Ethan, it's been a pretty fun season. We're 9 games through. We've had one action game up to this point, 8 games on Saturdays or Thursdays with the opener at Tennessee. How much fun have you been having this year?
I mean, I've been having a blast. I mean, it's playing football, I mean, you can't really beat it. Love being out there with all my friends and everything. So it's been fun.
Everybody talks about, playing with your friends, playing with your family, and having that type of camaraderie. But how have you actually seen that be a real thing with this group?
I'd say especially like O-line, like with all just that big class leaving right before us, and now we brought new people in and all that. I felt like we have gotten a lot closer, and I feel like it really helps out there, because especially when you're communicating everything, we know what we're all talking about, we know what we're all capable of. So I think it just makes it so much more fun being out there looking to the dude next to you and like, man, I'm playing with like some of my best friends.
How does that happen, like being able to develop those best friend types of relationships? Because sometimes, you play football with players, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody's the best of friends, but it seems like this group of Ball State football players, and especially unit to unit, everybody's a best friend to one another.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we all came really close over like summer workouts and camp. I feel like that's something that you just you bond over, you become friends through no matter what. But, I mean, at the end of the day, we have, like, the same goal, that MAC championship, so it really just ties in no matter what happens that we're going to get this done. Like, we're friends through the end, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Everybody's got those goals of the MAC title aspirations, which within grasp for Ball State football, 5 games for the Mid-American Conference season. What's the last 3 weeks looking like for Ball State football coming up?
I mean, basically the way we're looking at it, especially for the O-line, is just one at a time. The next opponent, one play at a time.
It's a pretty good motto. I love the one at a time motto with the acronym. It seems like it signifies what Ball State football is trying to do in the offensive line as a whole as well. How does the offensive line really embody that motto?
I would say, like, no matter what, like, if you mess up a play, you mess up blocking or anything, move on. It happened. Just, you know what I mean? Just got to keep going, keep moving on, next play.
How does the rest of the offensive line group take that to heart?
Take that to heart. I feel like we all of them take it pretty hard, because you see someone mess up, you're like, hey, tap them on the back, let it go. Next play, they're ready to go. No problem, no doubt.
And then make the adjustment in practice, right? You don't have time to make adjustments too much in game, right?
I would say you can make those like small adjustments in game, like, hey, something happened, like, hey, fix your like footwork or fix your steps, some like little stuff like that. Yeah, you can fix like that.
Okay. I never, you always see offensive linemen make those adjustments in game, but you never know what it's like to get to those steps within a game, right? Because there are so many small technical things. Not very many people sit down and look at the offensive lineman and say, oh, they have to do, you have to get your football, you don't have to run the football. So what are they doing? So when you sit here and say you make an adjustment, what are some things in a game that you try to work on every play?
Okay, so, I mean, as a center.
Yeah, you as a center.
Snaps first, no matter what. That's how you start the play, key to everything. So that's one thing I always, as soon as I, like, go up to the ball, I'm like, snap first. Then whatever's going on, simple as that, just know your stuff, get your footwork down, and, yeah, just make sure you get the blocking guy in front of you.
How tough is it to first have the snap, get to John, and then B, look up and have 300-pound guy right in your face?
At this point, I've gotten used to it, just because, I mean, I've been playing football for a while now, having big dudes in front of me. Like, yeah, it catches you off guard every once in a while, but it's still fun to have like the little one-on-one competition, just button heads.
You talked about you've been playing football for a long time, Ethan. Let's break down your personal journey. You're at Ball State football right now. You've been here. Where did the football journey start for you?
I've been playing since like flag football when I was little. I mean, been playing it basically since I was 6 or 7. I feel like that's the last thing I couldn't really remember. But yeah, played all the way since now. Just been playing it my entire life, just like that. What's
been the biggest challenge throughout your journey?
Challenge is definitely going from high school football to college football. It was like learning a whole new offense. That was a big jump for me. But just the way the games work and everything, I feel like it's a completely different from high school football to college football. But yeah, I still thought it was so much fun.
When you say the biggest challenge, making those adjustments from high school to college, when you got into Ball State University and you're sitting down with position coaches, offensive line coaches, were there habits that you had to try and take away from high school and recreate some in college?
I just say, yeah, because high school, it was simple as we ran the wing tee, run left, run right. Now we got to, hey, there's a lot more that goes into it. So I had to really work on my footwork and actually learn how to be a part of this offense.
And it seems like everybody on the other side defensively has got a motor. They can rush. They could tackle running backs. Everybody's playing at a high level. What was that adjustment like for you to see 11 defenders that all can go make plays?
It really caught me off guard because, I mean, you go from high school to where you were kind of the best guy. Now to everyone on the field was that best guy at their high school. So now we're all here. And I think it's fun. So I think it creates that good competition between the offense and defense, good competition of wanting to get better and wanting to beat that guy.
We'll get back to your journey in a second, but you went down that path, so I have to ask it. 9 different offensive linemen played against Kent State. You mentioned healthy competition.
Yeah.
What's that healthy competition like in the Ball State offensive line group?
So I'd say right now, the biggest rotation is just because we have that option, we're just going to rotate because we're confident in our depth and our guys that there's no reason why we shouldn't keep everyone fresh. Just keep them rotating, make sure that, hey, fourth quarter, we're not tired or exhausted. I mean, we feel great, we feel good, we're ready to go drive down the field if we need to.
Yeah, that's such a big thing to have for Coach Johnson's unit to be able to throw you in at center and then put everybody in at guard, tackles, and let everybody go play.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to your journey. You mentioned the tough challenge from going from high school to college. What's been the most fruitful part about being a collegiate athlete?
Man, that's a hard question, actually. I'd say being part of, something bigger, if that makes sense. High school football was one thing, you're playing it now that I had the chance to play Division I football. I think this is the best thing ever, if that makes sense.
Well, if it's the best thing ever, when you had that phone call that said, hey, you're going to be a Division I athlete from Ball State, what was that like?
So that was actually a crazy experience because it was getting towards the end of recruiting in December or something, and I didn't know where I wanted to go at the time, and my coach was telling me hey, Ball State wants to come see you, and I was like, okay, sweet, because I need to make a decision soon, basically. And so I'm pretty sure the way it worked is Monday they called and offered me. They saw me in person. They wanted to get me on official, so I went that weekend and then committed on Sunday. It was a really quick turnaround.
So what were the emotions like going through all of that in such a short amount of time?
It was a little I was kind of panicking because at the same time I'm okay, I do need to find somewhere hey, to play football. This is fun. And as soon as I got here on my official, it really just felt like home. The coaches are awesome here. I love being Coach Johnson. He's amazing. It's awesome to have him as a coach.
So when you look back at that moment now, receiving that offer and that phone call, how proud of the progress are you that you've made from high school to now and to know that you're in this position? I say I'm really happy about it because I felt it's always a goal to start at the college levels, and now that it's here, I'm happy about it. I'm glad we're all in this position. What's been the toughest part now that you're a Ball State student athlete about playing offensive line at the Division I level? Division I level, everyone is pretty big on the defensive line, so becoming stronger, being went to workouts, spring ball to summer workouts. You really had to become so much stronger to be able to handle those big guys in front of you. How about just being a college student athlete as a whole?
College student, I'm not gonna lie, student athlete, like you got your classes and you got your like practice and everything. It gets pretty tiring, but it's worth it in my opinion.
Ethan, you guys have sustained the success from the offensive line group, being able to rotate and do everything you did last year. How did last year give this offensive line group a taste to be able to be in the position of success now?
I would say because like those older guys, they all graduated and everything. So it gave all these other guys to finally get a chance, like put their name on their film. You know what I mean? Like go out there and play. So we were all excited about that because it was a big opportunity to show, hey coach, like this is what you recruited me for.
And now that you have this chance, how do you help other offensive linemen get better?
I help other offensive linemen get better by just answering their questions if they need like help, just being there, like just staying after practice, doing like little things, just keep working on throughout the season, especially this late.
Well, Ethan, we appreciate you being a Ball State Cardinal and jumping on the show.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate you guys having me.
It's Ethan Crowe, offensive lineman for Ball State, joining us here on Chirpcast. That does it for another edition. It's Ball State and Toledo coming up from the Glass Bowl. Big one between the top two Mid-America Conference Western Division teams. Make sure to check us out on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. Wherever you get your podcasts, we're there. This has been Chirpcast, powered by Learfield.
This has been the Chirpcast with Mick Tidrow.